So we're just gonna say it's 5:30 and go for it.
Okay.
Like students.
Order. Roll call. Andrew.
Okay, Siddall. Right,
Here.
McCullough was excused, Straber,
Here.
Cratch,
Yeah.
Hayes,
Here.
Ramirez was excused.
Move to approve.
The minutes. We've all read the minutes. Chuck makes a motion with a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. And it's approved. See. Scheduled business number 4, upcoming 4A, upcoming city of Albany street project. I think this is our only item for today.
Yes, so this was a reaction from my end to Chuck, who had requested some information on the, what I call the mall paving project. And I was ready to talk about that last month, but we went pretty long, so I burned myself. So what I did, I'm gonna share screen here real quick.
Man, there are some bad chuckles around all. Charlie Holt.
Okay, so I think it should. So I'm going to say to everyone out there that's watching, because I'm sharing screen, I am not great at tracking the chat. So feel free to interrupt if you have questions. I will try and check the chat, but I have proven that I'm not great at that. So what I did is I just kind of put together our active projects and then sort of the upcoming ones that should be kind of coming online in the next year. I should have gotten ready for this. Much like just going to point out a couple of things, much like it came last year. So if you go to our main page, there is this current project map. This is kind of active projects. It includes both private developments that are being inspected or looked at by the city. That also includes components where they're building public infrastructure as well. So if they're building public infrastructure, sewers or any other public infrastructure, there's going to be a city team assigned to that. If you look at it, it's got toggle buttons, so you can turn on just the capital city projects. Those are internal projects that the city is doing, or the private developments. So I'm going to just toggle on city projects. So when I zoom out, so if we look, they're kind of hard to map depending on what they are. So this is that mall, what I call, we've been referring to as the mall project.
What's going on with that one?
I will
get to that in a minute. Let me show you one more. Let me show you one more thing if I can. Because we have a lot of requests a lot of times for transparency, so I just want to show what's out there. If go to the engineering page, there's the capital improvement program. This is a rolling plan of our kind of a 5-year window. And we have a 2-year budget cycle now, so they're kind of staggered a little bit, so they match that. But the one over here is the current one. What you'll find is we're working on projects throughout that. So, but if you want to look at kind of the big list of all the different projects that are upcoming, it's hundreds of pages. Includes parks, transportation, all of our stormwater, water, sewer, and then street projects. So you can kind of track what's upcoming.
Yeah, I looked at that many times.
So I just wanted to point that out. And then, so yeah, so this Geary project, it is under construction. It's Riverbend Construction, which is technically out of Eugene for this one. I think it's our Eugene crew doing it. Close to $2 million contract. This is a pavement preservation project. So we've talked a bunch, kind of, you guys have seen the presentation of kind of how we're divvying our projects up. So this is going to be on arterials and collectors. This project was paved a little over 20 years ago. So, and pavement design life is normally 20 years. So when you can see that with that. So when this project was done 20 years ago, all the utilities in the street were rebuilt. So all of those are fine. We don't have to do much with those. I think they're doing a little bit of minor storm work. So what you're going to see on this type of project is we're going to usually have to work on the curb ramps and then do paving. So in this case, it's a 2-inch grinding inlay. So they're just going to mill the top surface off and put a new surface in. So really no capacity changes, nothing like that. Most of the paving is going to take place at night, most likely, because we're not really in residential areas. So there's not as much issue with noise, and the traffic impact will be obviously a lot less. They're working on they've started work this week on the curb ramps. So it'll probably take a couple months to do that. So in a couple months they should be paving. It should be done this summer.
Are the curb ramps getting changed at all, or are they just getting rebuilt as is?
We have to put them to ADA compliance, whatever that means. I didn't do the particular designs,
Curious.
but yeah, no. So even the ones that were done, and we'll look at a couple of these coming up, like Elm Street was the same thing that was built like 20 years ago. If you look at it, it looks like the curb ramps are pretty good, but when they don't meet the exact standards. So yeah, they'll be just kind of ramps will be pulled out, whatever has to happen there.
This is interesting because this intersection, well, one of the conversations we've had in the past meetings just last year, I think, is Patrick, and as a commissioner.
Oh, yeah.
He brought up some suggestions for that intersection with the parking lot between Burger King and Arby's and Safeway, and safety concerns right there.
Those Arby's.
Go down a little bit.
No, yeah, I know what you're talking.
Oh, that lot right there.
On the left.
Oh, there's a little,
Oh, down.
no, it's right up. Go right there to your left. At that point, although nobody can see it, but, right there.
Oh, okay.
That was something that I thought Ron said, well, if we, this, apparently there was some property line issues there. There's like 5 people own that.
That's
Right.
We were trying to prevent people from turning left up that.
Right. And it was one of those, well, if we ever redo that street, we can come up with some suggestions on how to make
Yeah,
that safe.
all those pork chop things so that you can only turn right there.
Do you remember? Well, I don't know if you were even sitting in those meetings. And I wish I knew what month it was.
So technically it's a driveway, first of all.
Right.
But,
And that was one of Ron's main issues is because, if it was a singular business, you could probably reach out to the business and work together, but like 5 different people own that or something. It was really strange, he said. That road that goes in between there.
That's right. He assured us that if and when improvements were made, it would be like a controlled
At
intersection.
least looked at, yeah.
well, and it might have been, though I can ask that. I didn't work on this project pretty much at all, so, I can check in on that.
It was at least, I was guess, it's at least gotta be last year, maybe the year before.
I think the year before. Yeah, I'm sure the year before.
Okay.
Because there was a big hole that cars were falling into in that driveway.
Well, there was that too, but the safety concerns of trying to get across because there's like there's like a left turn lane that takes you into the parking lot. And there's like a left turn lane that takes you onto 14th Street and it gets confusing. I'm sorry, right turn lane.
That's
The
good.
right turn lane that takes you into parking lot. And
I've
then-
gotten stuck there.
Yeah, it's weird.
I'm trying to turn on there and I got in the turn lane too quickly.
And sometimes people from the apartment complexes just shoot across the street because they want to go to Safeway or wherever. Some business that's attached in there and you don't know, really don't know what's going on. It's a very confusing intersection.
Yep.
And a lot of pedestrian traffic, so I mean, I don't even take that out. I just go to the stoplight, but a lot of people do.
There's good notes on that because this is the time to do it. Even
It's probably too late, actually.
well, yeah. Well, a change order is possible because they haven't started.
Is that the only city thing happening just
No.
at the moment? Okay.
Anymore.
All right.
I was just gonna point out too, if you ever are interested, we also, all our bids and contracts are, that's for like 3 or 4 years. So you can actually, get in here and it will have all this is what goes out to get people to bid on projects. So,
And you see the big results.
so it'll have the construction drawings, the whole contracts, and then anything else that was done. So all of that's online. Like I said, they have about 3 or 4 years worth of those.
So that's under finance, purchasing.
Yeah, it used to be right on the front page, but yeah, if you go to business and development, it'll be under projects.
Oh,
So, I do know that they are, so some of those streets were done in the, done in the 70s, so the lane widths are really wide. So they are where there's existing bike lanes. They actually did put, they are gonna put some painted buffers in on between the travel lane, the vehicle travel lane and the bike lanes. There was room to do that, so where they could fit that in, they were doing that. See what was the other one? Oh, so the other one that is under construction right now is the Queen from 99 to Marion.
Yeah.
And that's another one that, so this one is actually gonna be a more reconstruct. They're actually gonna pull out most of the asphalt, and most of the roadway, and put back, I think 10 inches of asphalt. So basically what we're going for is what you saw with the mall thing, there is a bunch of asphalt there. We're just dealing with the top layer. So we made an investment 20 years ago for that street, those streets, and now we can just go back every 20 years and put a new couple inches on top and be good to go. So that's what they're trying to do on this Queen project.
What's the detour? You're close to that right down there.
It's closed right now. They're gonna have to close it at some point. They're doing, so this is a reconstruct, so that means that we're gonna be doing all the utility work before we put a bunch of new pavement on top of it. So there's water line, a big water line going in, there's a big storm line going in. And whatever sewer needed to be taken care of is being taken care of. So when we're done here, we shouldn't have to go back. 20 years from now, all we should have to do is paving.
What about the crossings? Everybody was so excited that they're redoing the crossings, and then when it was done, it was like, oh, it's the same old, same old.
The
Just
red
right
cross.
Yeah.
So we were waiting to do this project until they did the final crossing stuff there.
Okay.
It's a few years out, so we are doing ours first. Sweet. And then they're going to tie into it.
And they'll be concrete, like the nice ones.
They're redoing, they rebuilt it with a temporary one, and then they're supposed to be doing a more permanent one
Okay.
again, and I think it's out to 27 now.
That's good to know it's temporary, because everybody was excited about that, and then when it opened, it's like,
Yeah, no,
just put the asphalt back.
there is another project in the works, it's ODOT Rail and 2 different rail companies, and us all working together on it, so it's taking a while.
That's fine. At least someone's moving on this.
Do you know what's the timeframe for completion on the rebuild?
On the rail one or the road? So final completion is November of this year. And that one has a completion bonus. We're trying to motivate the contractor to get it done. So yeah, that one is active. They're just starting with the utility work. That's where they need to start.
Do many of your contracts have bonuses for early and fines for late?
Depends on what we're doing. So not typically, all of them have fines, liquidated damages. The bonuses, we pick projects where we know we're kind of putting them at where it's hard to get completed in the timelines we're doing. This was an example of that. So there is a completion bonus for this one. I didn't look to see what the Geary area had. I don't think it has it, but this one does. And then I'm going to switch off this and back to this. Real quick, this was our slurry seals for this year. Kind of up Knox Butte, northeast corner a little bit. These will go in mid-July. And once again, typically we're spending about $500,000 a year is kind of what we're budgeting for those. This one's not a lot. For this group, it was a smaller group, so then it's more like 300,000. 200,000. What for the contract for the slurry seals?
Oh, that's
You
it.
can do
Yeah,
all those dark
$300,000.
areas for a third of a million?
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's really cost effective. So those are all local streets, and they're the ones that were built by private development within the last 20 years. We've been going around the last 40 years catching up on those.
So those probably have HOA, right? Do the HOAs help fund that, or?
They're all public streets, so no, it's all public street dollars. Okay, so Washington Street, this one has been in the works for a while. We did the sewer projects, this last year. We originally intended to bid all of these together. Glad we didn't, because the sewer project took a year to get done. They were not slacking off. So this one is actually being driven by water line replacements. There's gonna be water line work on Ferry, Washington and Calapooya. We looked at Washington, and by the time we did all the pavement cutting for the water lines and sewer stuff, because it is a collector, and we have generally been doing overlays on those, we decided it just made sense to do an overlay. So this one we'll do the ramps will be triggered by that, so we'll do ramps and a final grinded inlay, 2.5 inch grinded inlay for paving on this. We gave them a fairly long time period because there was so much water line work. They're expecting to start, so it's under contract with Pacific Excavation. We're expecting them to start the water line work in the fall, and then paving has to be done sometime for the next December 2025. And our expectation that they'll probably fit it in the summer.
We've already been doing a lot of work there.
That was on the sewer work.
Oh, that was sewer, next is water.
Next is water, and then the paving.
Wow.
So those are the ones that are active under contract and either being worked on or will be worked on in the next year. We have another paving project on Elm. This one should be under contract within the next year. It's kind of the same deal. It's going to be a 2-inch grinded inlay. This was rebuilt 20 years ago. Although all the utility work was done, really all we have to do is do the grinded inlay and do the curb ramps. It's a lot of curb ramps.
Yeah. And they're none of them are ADA accessible, if I remember. Well, there might be a handful of them.
I think every one of them probably be done. North Albany Road, this one we were gonna try and do this summer, but we were gonna do some ramp work at Highway 20. That's actually on ODOT right of way. So we have an agreement in place with them now to do that work. They're gonna pay us to do the ramp work. So we were kind of waiting for that to get all in place. So this will actually end up going next summer. And once again, that was done about 20 years ago. If you looked at it, it's pretty cracked up, but it's just a grinded inlay because it's in good shape. Just the wearing course is gone at this point.
You know, that section there surprises me because it's with the general condition of our streets, that one would be a 10 or a 100 in my opinion, compared to 100 other streets.
Well, remember, they're trying to keep the ones that are good.
This is preventive maintenance.
Yeah,
So you don't need them.
number one, we've been mostly spending money on arterials and collector.
Right.
And then, we're trying to do the pavement preservation before we start, because a lot of that cracking starts at the surface and then goes down. If you have 10 inches of asphalt, if you put it off, it'll just keep going down through that until you lose the whole asphalt section.
That was only built like 5 or 6 years ago.
No, this is the section, no. It's the older, it was 20 years ago, I bet. Let me
It's an average and everything.
Yeah.
Go check.
Really?
Yeah.
So this section, the first section of it, it was 20 years ago for that first section. The bridge was in the second project. So this is south of there.
Okay.
And if you look at it, it's got a lot of cracking.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. And then the other one that is in the budget, I think just start, is Salem Avenue. And I don't know a whole lot about that one yet. So once again, it's a 2-inch grinding lane.
Oh, that's for next year. Oh, this year.
It's our next fiscal year, so in July is when that'll be starting.
Oh, that's your fiscal year, basically.
Yes, so it'll
That's for the
start,
city.
yes, it'll start design in July.
Oh, good.
Uh,
So the earliest would be next summer.
yes.
Good. But it will be next summer, because that's the biennium.
It should be, they sometimes, that money can roll over, so.
That's 1.7 million. That's not bad.
Yeah, and there's gonna be some, there's a bridge project that's been ongoing that may get coordinated with this. There might be some intersection stuff, so, but the pavement part of it is, yeah.
Interesting.
Well, there's a bridge, the bridge over, the creek there.
That's where the,
It's work under it.
Oh, yeah, we in there.
Yeah. So
By the lake.
those will probably end up somewhat going together, depending. They're working their way through permitting. Okay. And then for next year, we have $250,000 for slurry seal, and we've completed our process from what we had kind of planned. So we're going to be relooking at what we'll do next. For the next set.
Yeah, so would you bring a big proposal to us and say, this is what we're considering, where do you want to direct your focus? Or do you do it all and just have a ball?
It's a good question. I would assume, I don't know. I can't even answer that.
I don't remember anything coming to us.
I don't know if it means, really, that's like.
I don't
Engineers, so I don't know the
like what
depth of the roads and.
Yeah.
I think for us, we have to have an internal discussion on, I think we kind of have proposed in the overall thing that we're talking about, that we would just start trying to do slurry seals on all the local streets. Unless they were so far gone, that wouldn't make sense.
My street.
But some of it, I think a few of us on the engineering side think that for the cost, it's money fairly well spent. Even on streets that are in fairly bad shape, because it's so cost effective, it does prolong those, even if they still need to be reconnected at some point. It's going to help.
So this isn't crack seal, this is curb to curb, thin layer with small gravel on top.
Yeah, well, it's basically sand.
Yeah,
Sand and asphalt.
It's not like chip seal.
No, this is minor.
Oh,
They did this throughout the city years and years ago. They're always doing it. It's like a slushy mix that you'll see the people with the squeegees and shit.
What's the lifespan on one of those, like on a neighborhood street?
So, they say 5 to 7 years. I think the really good example is this building. If you walk out on the broad Albany side, that was slurry seal 20 years ago. Go look at that and see what, it's stripped off a little bit in some spots, but
there's very
so if you
little.
catch it early enough, that you can get a lot of light out of it.
yeah, it has to bond. There can be issues with that. And it's not like, it's thin. It's not like you're doing pavement. But like I said, if you look at that street out there, that was slurry sealed like close to 20 years ago now.
Well, that's great service.
So it's just
Not
like
a lot of truck traffic on that street though, is there?
It's just like putting a coating on it to keep the actual road safe, right?
Yeah.
And away from UV light and weather.
And we tend to, once again, this is so for the last 4 years. We've crack sealed the year before. While the streets were gonna slurry over that. And yeah, it adds some, just kind of helps seal in the top that's starting to ravel. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember them doing it like 30 years ago, the whole city would get it.
Yes.
So it seems like half the city would get it one
Yeah.
year and half the city would get it the next year, and then you had it all in it.
I mean, it did get more expensive. So to do that now would be like, they used to do a fifth of the city at a time.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Now we're down to, probably we're talking more like a 15th of the city at a time. Would be my best guess was our current budget.
So the mall project isn't gonna start until July. Why? Why wasn't it?
The mall project construction now. You mean
Yeah,
I
I feel like we wasted daylight because I haven't seen any.
They're doing
Is the construction of, how come, because then does that go all the way to the train corridor? Train corridor there?
let's go back to.
Because I think there's construction going on the north end of it.
Oh, yeah, past.
North of the mall.
Yeah, right. I think I saw it go all the way to Salem Street, it looked like.
Yeah, how much, some of this is just, yeah, and
There's work going on in Petco there.
I don't think that's us. I think that's something else.
Yeah.
They
just got a lane closed.
That goes way out east past dollar store and that whole thing. Just residential out there.
well,
Yeah, but it's a busy road.
so it's interesting, it jumps, a section of this is older and in worse shape, and an overlay wouldn't. Once again, I didn't do the design on this. I think that an overlay wouldn't have worked on it. So there is a section in here that they're actually not going to do an overlay on. But yeah, no. So they're actively working. They went out to bid a few months ago, and they were demoing curb ramps starting this week, and then it'll take a couple of weeks to do that. So the painting's happening there because the best way to
Yeah, I get it.
yeah.
It's an interesting tool. Can you show it, the private development and the warranty deal? And those. So it's just people who applied for permits or something?
Yes, so that, and for some reason, there should be a. So green is under construction. The red is stuff that's in review by the kind of development section. The yellow means that it's been approved, but they haven't started construction yet. And I don't know, I mean, okay. So it's probably mostly the more significant stuff that Public Works has significant parts of. And then warranty, that would be, so after a project's done, typically there's a warranty period of a year. I don't know how well they track that on the map. Yes, so I don't know if that's just kind of reserved for particular cases or if it's a future thing. I'm not positive. But all the private and public development has a warranty period on it. At least on the capital side, it's typically a year.
Good presentation. That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
Yeah, and I can plan on doing this once a year. Hopefully I'll actually have a couple of those that are supposed to be out to bid.
Let me ask Ron for a annual ODOT review as well. So you checked the last one or?
It was about a year ago, it was in March. They don't have as many projects in Albany right now.
That's right, since 20's finished.
Well, the bridge, I guess.
Yeah.
That's interesting. How long is that supposed to go on for?
I should know that, but I don't.
It looks like it's gonna go like all summer and fall.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of work. You're pounding away.
Yeah, it's apparently going well.
Also not even on there.
No, we don't have the ODOT. So ODOT will have it. It's there. Because that
It'd be a cool link to have ODOT.
When will the Water Street section be done?
Park is going to be done July 4th.
Well, the part, I mean, like, the road.
There has been some,
So
there's some franchise utility work that has to be done in Oregon. So we can't finish the road until that's finished. So I think it's supposed to be next summer that the rest of that finishes.
So
Because of the river.
That's weird.
Sorry.
One other year, like, wow.
Is that because of the railroad there? I'm guessing it's franchise.
No, I think that's done. I think there's let's see what is that? Yeah, I don't know. I'm under the impression, and I could be wrong, that the rest of that street is gonna happen this point next year.
I saw some stuff in North Albany. What was that? Thought I saw a green there. Oh yeah. Oh right. A skyline or something.
So that was, they just, I don't know if it's done, but it's pretty much done. That was one where I don't remember the timeline we gave the contractor. We find that if we give them a fairly long timeline, we get much better prices. But that contractor just jumped on that project to get out.
All right. How about Charlie's pet peeve? Ron is gone. Andrew, what can this group do to speed up ODOT's changes to First and Lion and Ellsworth and Second? Ellsworth and Second is 2 no parking signs and striping. Do we have any say? Do we want to write a letter to council and say, the citizenry's up in arms, this appears to be a simple project, do something? Every day, the left lane of 20 or Ellsworth is delayed. The right lane's moving fairly fast through town, but the left turns onto Second. Or just delayed.
Turns on the Second.
So, I mean, if we have, should we do something? If we do something, could it have an impact? If we wrote a letter to council, if we wrote a letter to ODOT, if we recommended the city council contact ODOT and say, put this on the top of your list. Will you look into that and get back and say, shut up, Chucker?
I can certainly ask. I won't tell you to shut up, period. But yeah,
There. That's what all this research has been tracking. right, for the last year that
It was
to plan.
to prioritize it was sort of to look at what impacts those projects would have and then the order in which they needed to go. So it,
And we spent $250,000, and a lot of us love the results. I think council said how pleased they were. Our group said we loved the decisions,
I assume restriping triggers ADA ramp compliances.
Yeah, we went from a $50,000 striping on First onto the bridge to $250,000 for right-of-way acquisition, sidewalk changes. Da, 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 da. I get that. But the left turn on sorry, on the second, maybe the businesses there are asking him not to do it. Is there an antique shop?
I'm sure there's all sorts of traffic laws we are privy to that.
Absolutely, but that's what I'm asking. Why the delay? Mr. Koenig got there last time. I said, turn me loose with a paintbrush and I'm not gonna paint.
that was
This was a different Mr. Cook.
yeah,
Thank you.
which I can do a little research.
I'm guessing lane width is an issue because they got rid of, when they redid Queen, they got rid of 2 right turn lanes at that traffic light that go north and south. And I'm guessing because there was no room, because Darien has that weird parking lot. There used to be a turn lane there. And now traffic backs up all the way down Queen Street in the mornings to like 12 because that turn lane is gone at Queen and Elm. But it was a funky turn lane to begin with. I'm guessing they got rid of it because I'm guessing now it's not supposed to be there.
Yeah,
Way
bothered until.
yeah.
Can ask about that as well. But yeah, I mean, so for those, that's all city. So there's no, we can do, so most of this stuff with that order study is, we can't do any of that.
Yeah, we can't touch
That's
any.
all them.
But the city council can request, can demand that action be taken because of congestion.
They can demand, but.
ODOT doesn't have a list.
Well,
So, I mean, that would
you
be,
don't say anything.
but
You don't get anything.
that was explained
Like,
with that study was that ODOT was a big part. So they helped. I mean, they had their people reviewing and inputting all of those meetings. So the hope there was that would help inform those projects so that they would be more favorable for ODOT. And like we said before, ODOT actually applied for a few things that came out of that before the study was even done because they knew their timelines for the grants were going to be sooner than that. So even though that was crossing stuff, some of those like fifth and sixth. They actually turned in to put those properties in. So we felt right away like it was really positive.
And there's nothing has happened since like the presentation.
Well, so that those get turned in and they get ranked through the state process and they have to get, if they get ranked and then they get, yeah.
So do we have to fight in that ranking for like the entire state?
Yes, depending on what it was. So that's why they wanted to get it in there. And those ones, the initial ranking, they ranked very high. That was part of it. They knew they would bring a cut just based on what they were. So,
That's good.
That's good.
but much like us, and I don't want to speak for ODOT, but they are having they are having significant funding issues, so especially on the maintenance side.
I remember she was saying that when she was here.
Yeah, and it's gotten worse since then. So, we went to a paving conference that ODOT participates in, and they are making big cuts on the pavement side right now.
So this comes from the federal government.
It's a combination of things.
Yeah,
The capital side, you know, they did House Bill 2017, so there's been a funding stream there. But yeah, the maintenance side with how things have just the inflation, they were looking at pretty big hits. They are working. ODOT is working on a funding package. That's what we hear. I mean, they're expecting the next session to tackle that.
So we had done that. They were working on that, assessing whether we should do a tax or a fee. What was that for?
That's a city of Albany.
So other street projects that aren't ODOT related.
That was looking at fund a way to fund
local.
particularly local, but there was even a bit of a gap with our I think $2 million a year gap for our collectors of materials. So that was looking at those. How do we get funding to start working on local street?
That is looking at those. Yeah. We're not going away.
Yeah, and that's still being worked on.
I have
Actively.
Well, I have it on good conscience or from that they're recommending for the people who are just doing the I don't know, eval of how the city feels about a gas tax. They want to put it on hold and they feel like it should be on hold for several years. And they're going to bring it to council tomorrow. It's in their packet for the week. They're recommending that we don't even try to pursue a tax because it's not at the moment, put a hold on it is the words they're using. Because it's not a popular thing within the community.
They needed years.
And we expect it to be popular, like that was the problem. We wanted to make it more of an educational thing. So that it was more, like, you're never gonna get a popular tax. I don't care what you do. Yeah.
Because of the.
Right, and that's what they want. Their record, that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
But instead of both. Which some people will be not happy about either.
Yeah, there's no choice.
Which you can't choose that way. Yeah, exactly. But
So I would encourage you to then listen in to that.
city council tomorrow.
I think it was going to go that route.
Yeah.
Today, one of the Facebook.
Because I guess whatever assessments are doing is showing that the public is not really supportive of a tax, and like that was a big surprise. And so they're saying that they recommend that we put it on hold for several years. It was in the city packet this weekend.
It's hard.
Or this week.
Easy to find.
So I will say this.
What I've heard.
I will say this. So we hired a firm to do the research.
That's who's recommending it.
Came back.
Negative.
Their findings were very strong. Standards, like surprisingly strong. So that.
Neither one of them are positive.
But
One is controllable and one's not.
so no, it's based on responses that were in and that were done as part of that study. That yes, we were very surprised with those findings. They were very strong thing. Yeah. Like I said, I don't know what I can say. So
Well, I've cleared and say what I can say. So like, and they talk about this and they're like, yep, sure can. It's published. So
yeah.
I'm bringing it up because I knew it's not on our agenda.
So yeah, I would
Watch the
suggest watch tomorrow, because yeah, it was fairly strong findings, like they very strongly recommended that to staff. Like, that was not,
Essentially, not gonna give any freedom.
no, well, it was all just gonna be around very respectful meetings.
Which still won't be as much as we would have gotten from the gas tax, because we really should do both.
Exactly. And if we could trust government, people would probably vote for like a.
Well, it's kind of, you just have to kind of, you have to educate what you're getting out of the situation, but
Right.
if you're not willing to put the work into it, then yeah, you're gonna get it, I don't know, so. I guess, but yeah, we'll see what they say.
They'll come back here. I'm sure Chris will show up and give more presentations.
I would imagine. Yeah. The findings were surprising. And
Surprisingly negative, I guess.
no,
Well,
surprisingly.
tax for sure.
So
Pro-tax, anti-tax, I'm confused.
the fee was much more well received with the group that they did this, and that their findings were the tax part of it, the gas tax part. They strongly recommended that what they got out of the study, that was not to go.
Did they ever figure out how much more you get from the tax over the fee? Did they figure that part out? Like, we were trying to get like numbers,
Well, it's totally based on what you set them at, but
they didn't have a recommendation where you set the fee.
so no, this group they weren't looking at that, I don't think. That's more of an internal thing. Because none of that has been set. It was more like public study to see how either would be received. And the findings were very strong. It's, yeah, sorry, I should have asked, but I don't.
Yeah, I don't want to get you in trouble.
I don't think.
That's why I asked you.
Well, we'll take care of that as business from the commission, yeah? Are we gonna move on or?
Billy.
Well, that'd be business from the public, right? That's nice. Anything else from business from the commission? Business from the public? Billy with AMPO, you don't have anything?
I have no comments. If the commission still wants me to come and give an AMPO presentation, I'm more than happy to do that at your request.
I think you're the one who suggested that.
Don't let me force it on you guys.
I really don't even know what AMPO does, so that would probably be good.
Yeah,
Would you be willing to do that at next month's meeting?
I would, yes, sir.
Okay.
Sweet.
Right.
Finished.
Yeah, next meeting.
I don't know, did we read that last one?
Yeah, well, it's submitted to the.
Yeah.
We don't have to read it publicly, right? It's submitted through, in the packet, right? I think it's coming back every month.
Was, yeah, I was hoping you.
So I tried to break, not as strongly as he was.
And I think, yeah, so he was at last month's meeting, I missed some chat things.
Yeah.
Which I was trying to be better about tonight,
Because we were on that website for a long time, you probably didn't see.
yeah.
And we checked and they were there too, so I don't know how that worked. I don't think we'll get better at this speak, but
But I know we would like to have a discussion with him.
Right. I wish I could give him some good feedback on it, but I don't have a solution for him. I really don't. But I told you that you were like his full mate.
There'll be a lynching.
Told you. Yeah, I was like, I need to be, you're absolutely on the same page.
And we don't need to spend a lot of time on it. It's sort of like, it's like a solution to the problem. Specifically, his,
Chasing
the adding or restricting a lane to be a bus lane. Not really, if you use the bus, not really where the bottleneck is for bus movement. And I the video you sent was interesting. It's not, those weren't like new concepts to me, this idea of like reduced demand. But this is also this town is a democracy, and so I think you start removing lanes. It's the wrong problem to solve right now. People are very upset about the condition of the roads right now.
It seems like a Seattle, the organization.
Well, there's forces to be put in front of cars, right? Like the other infrastructure to facilitate alternative transit isn't there. It could be there someday, but it's like decades because it's very expensive to develop. So if you put the cart of just taking away lanes in front of that horse, all you're gonna have to do, I think torches and pitchforks is a
Very much. Well, I'm not a big shot.
well, and there's things of this nature that could be talked about in like tweaks and improvements as things are going in. I think you know, so these concepts are good to think about, but I think that something on the scale is like
Larger.
wrong place, wrong time.
Think about all the commuters and I'm just like, I can't get from point A to B without.
That's part of it. Is that like this?
We commute so much,
This isn't a town where people are coming. I mean, some people are commuting into Albany for sure.
but there are so many that are leaving.
It could be a throughway, and a lot
Yeah.
of people going to Salem or Atlas.
It would just be, yeah, it would be chaos. We get pissed off about the right turn lane on First Avenue backed up. Like this, talk about like a bike bus lane, you'd be in so much trouble, so much trouble.
You know, as time goes on and transit improves.
Great idea.
Bike lanes improve, and things like that can sort of be solved.
I think it's, start from right there.
Right.
Yeah. But people are more patient on the roads.
And if we, the rapid transit people over here at the last meeting said there's up to 4,000 riders per month. Divide that by 30 days, which is kind of odd because you got, that's 130 people a day on all of those buses going everywhere. And you're going to inconvenience for
Well, and that's exactly is to add, like, if right now the buses only run at a given stop on the hour. And so it's really difficult to make that a primary mode of transportation. And if we were to double that capacity or do it every half an hour, which would be double the capacity, the 800,000 a bus. It's a big lift. And like I said, someday we would get there, but that's the first step before you start shifting capacity onto the buses. You have to develop that capacity.
Yeah, I think that, right. And that goes back to the meeting last time where it's really about marketing. And it's selling the idea that we have a transit system. Try it out sometime. It's free. I mean, I bet 90% of Albany doesn't even know it's free. Right. So
Everyone is surprised when I tell them.
yeah.
50% are ready to give pitchforks and tar and feather because we're the only way to ride. But they don't realize what they said, that by eliminating the fees, the grants or the funding increase logarithmically.
Yes.
It's education. It's
I feel better about that. Thank you. I just wanted. Poor guy. He's pushing for him, but I know I'm really pushing for him.
I mean,
It's our push, but there's a lot of good information
It
here.
really, yeah.
We need to, lots of priority, living lanes.
So I will say that in his case, I also did encourage him to participate in our upcoming transportation system plan, which I'm sure you guys will be involved with. Paul.
just a 5-year renewal or is it a 20-year? Oh, God.
It's a big project. It's just getting off the ground. In particular, I pointed him at it because mostly a lot of this is going to be ODOT. Once again, we're talking ODOT structurally where the city doesn't have ultimate control. So that's why that's a because it's going to be an overall plan. I'm sure the MPO is involved somewhat in it. ODOT will be involved in it. It helps develop long-range planning and transportation projects. So it's a good place to look at that. So.
How about a 2-minute question on focus? What focus? What is our duty? What are we doing? When I was chair, I asked every member to bring their pet peeves, things they've seen. Bring us the problem so we can identify it, investigate it, pass it on to someone to get something. Is that appropriate? Is that our charter, or do we just sit here and wait for you to bring something to say yay or nay? What is that? I mean, you don't know.
I think that's an appropriate thing to do. It's both of those things, I think, are what this is for.
We worked on that a little bit today, though. At the very beginning, right?
You've already talked about my 2 pet peeves.
The crossing.
That's right.
So we're trying to include that.
We did that, the RRPQS, those flashing light things. We were involved in them.
It's a good thing to refresh for. I have had people say to me that they wish, they see a lot of things being discussed, and plans are being done, but the on the ground action isn't materializing. So people have expressed that they would like to see it.
Yeah,
So
frustration and for all the talk and all the money, not a lot of fruit is come to, or not a lot has come to fruition. But
All right. Next meeting is July 23rd. And if you're good, we'll adjourn.